about qualified. Qualified. We're going to talk about being qualified. Jesus was teaching back in the day, and still we can learn a lot from it. We read it today. In Matthew 11 in there, go in there and read it, and he's talking about he's giving a little relatability to, actually I guess you'd say, he's qualifying certain people out of that group that he's talking to, in which, you could just say it's a group of us standing there. And you can put yourself in that position and say he's just talking to you. He says, come to me, all you who are heavy laden, or burdened and heavy laden, or heavy laden and burdened, whichever way it is. And he said, I'll give you rest. Now, if you just stop and think about that for a minute, somebody could be standing there, and it could be one of us, that don't feel like we're heavy laden or burdened with our lives right now. But there are others who are. So, if you look at Jesus, he told Peter, now he said, look, so I'm going to teach you to be fishers of men, okay? And in this instance right here, we see him fishing. Remember, he had come down to do the will of him who had sent him. He only said what his Father told him to say, and he only did what his Father told him to do. You can see, or we can see our Heavenly Father fishing. Somebody has to actually qualify themselves, getting honest, with the words that are coming out of his mouth before they may even make the choice to step forward. As he says, come to me and learn from me. He says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light, and you will find rest for your souls. I think he says it twice in Matthew 28:30 right there. I think he says, I had to look at it again, but I think he says, learn from me twice, but I could be wrong. Either way it goes, the fact of the matter is, there are many of believers that are going about their daily lives, carrying the burdens thereof, and they're okay with it. They don't feel heavy laden. They don't feel weighed down. Could it happen to them one day where they get to that point? Could. But if it don't, then it don't. But if it does, then here is the offer that he has for anyone who feels that way. Now the next thing is, if you aren't qualified or not qualified, or don't feel that you're part of that group that he's calling upon, then never mind. But you could listen if you want to, because it might save yourself some pain. But the ones that are qualified, who honestly are weighed down, who honestly are at unease or unrest in their souls, and they are qualified, then look, there's a couple things you can look forward to. Number one, well, more than a couple probably, but anyway, the question that could arise, and we could learn from, which I did it many years ago, and the Lord led me to do it, because I qualified in that area that we're talking about. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, so I might as well be heavy laden and burdened. You know what I mean? Maybe y'all can relate. He didn't come so I could live every day being sick and tired and being sick and tired. He said he came so we could have life and have it more abundantly. And he said that if anyone loses his life for my name's sake, we'll find it. So there's got to be a different way of, for me, and maybe it's relatable to you, what had got me to where I was at? That's the question. I had to stop. And I had to call out to him for him to help me, but then also in the process, you know how you analyze maybe something that's wrong with a car? Maybe it's got some kind of engine noise going on. Well, is it just mechanical failure? Or is it because of the decisions that somebody has made to drive the car in certain ways, not change the oil, do the maintenance on it, taking care of the car as they should, and not driving it beyond its designed capabilities, because anything beyond that could damage the car. So we can think of ourselves like that. We can think of ourselves as a car that's not performing well. And what choices have we made? And I had to do this. What choices did I make to get me exactly to where I am? Okay, that was number one. And number two, who taught me to think that way? Where did I learn that wisdom from to go about functioning on a day-to-day basis, thinking like I was thinking, and then implementing the thinking into the living? Because if I can understand that, see it for what it is, not do it anymore, learn something new, and still go about living my everyday life without the burdens thereof, then I would suggest, because you're going to learn this from him, that you'll find that his yoke is easy and his burden is light. No loving parent would want their children to live in such a way as being burdened, heavy laden, and unrest at their soul. No parent, no loving parent. So, why would our Heavenly Father be any different? I don't think He is. As I've said before, He wants to will us to be, and will us to do, and will us to have everything that His will being done on earth as it is in heaven can and will accomplish while we're here. Well, if my thinking's not lining up with seeking ye first the kingdom of God and the principles that are built into doing that, then I won't be willed to be, and I won't be willed to do, and I won't be willed to have everything that can and will be built into His will being done on earth as it is in heaven. It just won't happen. So it goes back again to qualification. Maybe you're qualified. Maybe you're sick and tired. Maybe life is just ugh. And you know, or could be honest enough to say, the decisions that you've made have gotten you exactly where you are, which I like to call, and the Lord showed me, is a pile of self. S-E-L-F. Now, even if you live with good intentions, this pile can be made. And there's 5 areas that each and every one of us are going to experience things happening in our lives. If you take the word first, F stands for finances. I stands for interests, like self-driven interests. R typically, or can be contributed to. It's the relationships that come from where you make the money and the people you spend time with outside of making that money. The F and the I. Then there's the S. There's the schedule. You making it, you kind of putting it together, you believing, and I'd say thinking and believing that you have to live like you're living, because if you don't carry the burdens of this life, this thing you call your life, nobody else will. That's a lie, straight from the pit of hell. And then there's T, which is the timing of it all. If you've been willed to believe that you have to come up with a plan for your life, and you live with them thoughts in your head, and come up with those thoughts, go about implementing them on a daily basis, and if you have done some thinking according to that flesh and gotten yourself into a few pickles here and there, you may understand or relate about what I'm talking about. But back to being qualified. He wants those who will qualify themselves because they can get honest with Him, number one, and get honest with themselves, number two, and look back on it and reflect and say, how in the world, or who taught me to think the way I think? Why do I act like I act? Why do I make so many decisions based on maybe pride, maybe ego, maybe feelings and emotions, maybe trying to fill that so-called, that void that's inside, and doing it by achieving this or achieving that, and if I could just get this much education and make this much money, then I'll be happy, kind of thinking. That's the stuff we're talking about. I believe that's the stuff that he's talking about. Because if it's not according to what he would have you do, then there's probably a high probability that it ain't going to be too good for your soul. And he says, take my yoke upon, it's his yoke. Okay, so that's, and he says his yoke, if you understand what yoke is, yoke back in the day or even today, it's a harness that's put across the neck and shoulders of an animal that can pull and do some things, like an oxen that can plow or a mule that can pull some weight. That yoke is put on them so they can perform a task. And the task is being given to them by somebody else who knows they're capable of doing it. And the taskmaster is usually in tow, leading them and guiding them to do as it is they are being given, what they've been given to do. That's the yoke that he's talking about, to be put on us by Him, taught by Him. He said, learn from me. And then you're led by Him, guided by Him, protected by Him, and actually strengthened by Him. Sound like a pretty good deal if you ask me. So, if you qualify, if you're weary and burdened, he says, come to me, child. Learn from me, child. Leave behind all that other stuff that you learned to get you in the position that you're in, child. And I will teach you another way of going about living your everyday life, carrying my yoke, my burden. And you will be willed to be, and you will be willed to do, and you will be willed to have everything that my will being done on earth as it is in heaven can and will accomplish. That's basically what it's saying. You can visit us on YouTube and visit us at hiswillnotmyministry.com. He's fishing. He's still fishing today. And with this message, hopefully, we might fish a few of them out. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we'll be back.